All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co host, Jake Ellenbogen, and we are coming to you live tonight to recap our Rams 35-7 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. The Rams went overseas to the UK to take on the Jaguars. It was story of the week. We all woke up really early to watch them. Some of us earlier than others. Jake and I are a little bit later, East Coast and Central Time, so we didn't have to wake up as early as our friends on the West Coast to watch this football game. But regardless, we all woke up early. We ate our breakfast and drank our coffee watching the Rams play football. And Jake, it was a great game to wake up early for. Certainly no regrets. Wouldn't regret it either way, but it certainly is much sweeter seeing the show that the Rams put on that early. I mean, just almost complete dominance over a really good Jacksonville Jaguars team. A team that you and I both gave a lot of praise to, rightfully so. A team that's played pretty well this season. It was both of us were 4-2 going into this game over in London. It was certainly a matchup I think that a lot of football fans were excited to watch, and the Rams surprised. I think that the Rams came out and, some people took the Rams to win, but nobody was taking the Rams to blow out the Jaguars. I mean, that wasn't reported anywhere. I mean, Jake, this game was so fun to watch. There's so much to talk about, but overall, what were your thoughts on this? Because I just thought it was a fantastic game, start to finish.
Yeah, no, I thought, well, my first thought was I'm glad you changed your mind about them winning.
Yeah.
But no, all jokes aside, I thought this was the most important game of the year because it showed the Rams' ability to travel long distance, not as long distance as it would have been, but travel, adjust, react, and you're assessing all these different things that have happened over the course of the year, and you actually rectified it. And I thought the red zone offense, I mean, that was just amazing. 4 for 4, big touchdown to Terrence Ferguson. We finally get it. We get one Mumfield, which you called the Ferguson one. Devontae Adams, who is one of the best, if not the best contested catch guy in the league when he's on. He hasn't been this year. Looked like he was in this game. So just a lot of really good things. I mean, I was saying this on Twitter. I don't know how many people realize it. The Rams defense right now has allowed fewer points than the Rams defense did in the Super Bowl season, which I'm sure that you realize. But they've also scored more points, the Rams offense has, than the Super Bowl season Rams through 7 games in 2021. So I think right now we're looking at a team that in a year full of parity and no one knowing who is actually good and who's bad, who's amazing. I don't think there's anybody that's amazing yet. But I think this was a huge step in the right direction because people, will say now, oh, the Jags aren't good, right? But they were good when they beat the Chiefs. And, oh, that was a really good win by the Seahawks last week when they held the Jags to 12 points. But now the Rams do something against them in front of everybody. And it's, oh, the Jags just might not be that good. I don't subscribe to that. I think the Jags are a good football team. I think the Rams just punched him in the mouth consistently. And to be fair, they had every opportunity to keep this a close game if they just kicked field goals. It's not to say that they would have won the game, but going for it on 4th down 6 times in this game, they only came away with it twice. I mean, that's what happened. So, at the same time, I thought the score was a little misleading. I thought the Rams could have won by more, but I think it kind of goes to show you. I mean, that's just how it went down. And you got to credit the Rams because, the Jaguars were in London for a while and that was all the media was rolling with, right? Is, oh, Jacksonville, they're in London, they're getting ready, and the Rams are, for whatever reason, they're staying in Baltimore. They're doing their practice at a baseball field. I don't know if that's smart. And then I saw people, kind of criticizing them for throwing off a mound and not taking it seriously. And then they go and they handle business overseas. So, great win by the Rams. Great win by Sean McVay. Great win. Just everything I thought really came together in this one. There are some things they got to clean up, and I'm sure we'll discuss that, special teams. But to go into the bye at 5-2, they went in the bye the year they won the Super Bowl at 6-1. I feel really good about this team moving forward.
Yeah, it was, I agree with you on all that. And, like I mentioned earlier, I think it was a majority a great game from the Rams. Obviously some things, to clean up, but you look at 35-7, you can't complain too much, right? I mean, it was absolute dominant performance, especially with the way that the defense played. I feel like the defense gets a lot of credit. I think everybody is kind of talking about the Rams offense this game because the Rams offense has had a lot to prove. Going into this game, there's been basically three targets that have been reliable for Stafford. It was Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, which was on and off, to be quite frank, until this game. But in theory, Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams. Other than that, we weren't really seeing anybody who was able to do anything on offense, for Stafford. And there was a lot of red zone concerns, right? And a lot of question around how are the Rams going to spread the ball going forward, right? You can't just keep focusing on Puka Nacua. You're going to have to diversify who you're throwing the ball to. So we go into the game this week, Puka Nacua is injured, right? And so the question then becomes, what are the Rams going to do? What are the Rams going to do? Well, they showed us. It kind of, in a way, Jake, Puka Nacua being injured forced the Rams to do what we've all been wanting them to do, which is kind of the irony of the situation is, okay, Puka Nacua is no longer an option. Now you're going to have to start throwing to some of these guys that you don't normally throw to. And obviously Devontae Adams ended up having 3 touchdowns. So it was very clear who wide receiver 1 is in Puka Nacua's absence, and he's great. And Adams is, still a great receiver in this league. It's so funny to see how people thought he was washed or whatever, right?
That was
they
silly,
didn't think
but
that
we always called
just
bullshit
silly.
on that.
Yeah. So, you look at who Stafford, started getting involved. You look at all the tight ends. Look at all the tight end action. It was like we've been starving for tight ends to get involved, like for the season. And then we got we got 4 tight ends involved in one game. It was just like overstimulation with how much like we were seeing. Like it felt like what team was I thinking of? The Steelers are another team that I feel like have like 40 tight ends.
Yeah.
We watched that Thursday night football game, and I'm like, why are they? How do they have like 6 tight ends that Aaron Rodgers is out here throwing to? But it felt like the Rams did that on Sunday. You saw Colby Parkinson get involved. Davis Allen even got a little bit of action. Obviously, Tyler Higbee was involved quite a bit, and then Terrence Ferguson, the rookie that we have all been dying to see get involved, particularly in the red zone. We've been wanting him involved, and he didn't even get a touchdown in the red zone, which is the irony of it.
I know.
He got his touchdown on a ballsy 4th-and-1 play to the end zone, which was just immaculate. I can't stop thinking about it. I tweeted the video out last night. It was just kind of like, I keep thinking about this. Amazing. And T. Ferg basically showed us that he is who we thought he is, right? Like he made the big play. He's a receiving tight end. He's available. Now we can only pray going forward that McVay keeps utilizing him that way. And I think that he will. I think that, after that game, it's going to be hard to deny the impact that Ferguson can bring to this offense. But Jake, yeah, I just think that, there was a lot of narratives answered with this about the Rams offense. And I think it probably is fair to say it might have even surprised them a little bit. Because like I said, you take Puka Nacua away, he's been that option for you this season. Now he's just not available. He's injured, right? And so you kind of have to look at what can we do now that he's out of the game. You look at the run game, which was somewhat utilized. Probably you could argue it could have been utilized a little bit more. I thought Jacksonville did a pretty good job, though, to be honest, in stuffing the run. I mean, you did see Kyron break through for, a couple, 10-yard gains or, that, but it wasn't as hot as it typically is. But also we didn't need it to be, right? Because we showed that we could get the ball out in the receiving game and the passing game could be fresh. I mean, you had your quarterback throw for 5 touchdowns. So can't really complain about a lack of a run game there if the pass game is working so well, right? So yeah, I really loved what we saw from this Rams offense, and my hope is that after the bye, even when Puka Nacua comes back, McVay sees these options that he has, and we continue to kind of spread the ball out going forward.
Yeah, no, I agree completely with that. And, I want to say something about like the Kyron Williams carries. I didn't really like the 50-50 split. But I do feel like we went into this game with you and I saying this isn't going to be a run game. This isn't going to be a Kyron Williams game. They are going to throw the football. And even though it was rainy, they were still throwing the football. What I want to address, because I saw a lot of people saying like, oh yeah, the yards weren't great. And I think people are way too focused on their fantasy football teams, if I'm being honest, and not giving unbiased analysis when it comes to that. But when your defense dominates the way they did, when you just absolutely impose your will, you're getting field possession. Like, think about this. You're getting field position that's like at the 50, at the 40. There's not going to be a lot of yards. That was what we saw. There wasn't a lot of yards. And so that's why Stafford, while it looks like he threw over 300 in this game, he didn't. He threw 182. And he relinquished first place in the passing yards this week in the league. I think he'll live because he also leads the league in touchdowns pending tonight's 2 games. 5 touchdowns in this game. All-time record international game, 17 on the year, 2 interceptions. I mean, I just think that I understand like with the yards, like people wanted more and everything, but I think because of how this game went and the 4th downs and the stops and the defensive domination, all of that field position being so positive, it took Tutu Atwell out of this game. Not a lot of field to have to stretch when you're constantly at like the 40. I also think Tutu Atwell wasn't healthy. So I think that they had him in case they needed him, but that's why we saw 2 catches for Xavier Smith and 3 targets, whereas Tutu didn't even have a target. But this is the most a Rams quarterback has spread the ball out since Nick Foles in 2015. Yeah. And you know who was part of those that I just basically I guessed yesterday. Blaine reached out to me, he asked me, and I actually guessed all of them off the top of my head. Do you know who was part of that? There's one name in particular that like you would never expect. Okay. Actually, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot, Alexis. You name them. 2015.
Okay. Well, I have to be totally honest. I briefly saw that tweet. So I don't remember all of it, but it was, I mean, Tavon Austin, right? Mm-hmm. Was it like Brian Quick, Jared Cook, Marquez?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, wait. So I started with Tavon Austin. This was 2015. It's not Givens. I'm way off. Givens was way before.
No, Givens was on the 15 roster, but for like 3 games, I think they traded him. He wasn't on this, though. No. Okay.
Would be like Wes Welker.
Yes, right? That's the one, 15. By the way. That's like Wes Welker. Like, yeah. Wes
so
Welker.
how many are I'm at 5. So let me go back to 2015. Ooh, this is hard.
It's very hard.
I'm gonna have to go through. I'm missing a tight end because I had Jared Cook, but I can picture him. Other tight end. Shoot.
Do you want a hint?
Yeah, give me a hint.
88.
It's not helping me.
What?
Because it's not Everett, because this is before Everett. Wait, is it before Everett?
Darion Kendrick.
Oh, Darion Kendrick.
No, it's not Darion Kendrick. But
sorry, now I'm hyper.
Lance Kendricks.
Oh, yeah, duh. Oh my God, Lance Kendricks. Also, real quick, Gerald Everett was a St. Louis Ram?
No.
Right? His rookie season? Oh, he was drafted in LA?
He was actually McVay's first draft pick.
Okay, I'm totally off. So Lance Kendricks, so I'm at 6.
Yeah, we'll give you the Lance Kendricks.
Well, no, I'm really at 5. So who are the other ones?
So the other ones were, well, you said Jared Cook, right?
Oh, wait. 2015. Would it be Stedman Bailey?
Nope.
But he was on that team.
He was, but he was not one of the other players are Benny Cunningham, Todd Gurley, and Trey Mason.
Oh, how did I forget Gurley and Mason? I was not even thinking about running backs.
So all of them, Kenny Britt, Brian Quick, Tavon Austin. Oh, did you say Kenny Britt? I don't think you did.
I didn't say Britt.
So it would have been, Kenny Britt, Brian Quick, Tavon Austin, Trey Mason, Todd Gurley, Lance Kendricks, Jared Cook, Wes Welker, Benny Cunningham, and Bradley Marquez. Good Lord. Yeah. What a pull. Like, I guessed that off the top of my head. I still don't know how. But this will be this will probably be some trivia questions someday. So, guys, remember this.
Remember it.
Colby Parkinson was the leading pass catcher this week with 47 yards, our friend Colby. So Colby Parkinson, Devontae Adams, Terrence Ferguson, Tyler Higbee, Xavier Smith, Kyron Williams, Jordan Whittington, Blake Corum, Kanate Mumfield, and Davis Allen. That is wild. I'm telling you, that's going to be a trivia question someday.
It probably, and again, it's just wild that there's 4 tight ends involved.
Yeah, I know. It's insane. 4 tight ends. And then the running backs for the Nick Foles one with Todd Gurley, Trey Mason,
and Cunningham.
Cunningham. I'm sure somebody would have been like, "Oh, Zach Stacy," but he never played with the Rams. He never played Gurley because the day Gurley got picked up, he like called his agent or whatever, and he's like, "Oh," he's like, "I want out."
This is when he was on Twitter when we drafted Gurley, and he tweeted "Yikes."
Yes, I will never forget that.
I remember seeing that come across like my feed or whatever back in 2014, 15, whatever that draft was, and I just was like, "Uh-oh."
Crazy.
Yeah. Man, I forgot about
Mason. I miss watching Trey Mason play, man.
I liked Trey Mason when he was playing.
No, I did too.
Because it was him, and it was like, because I remember there was like kind of a argument. Was it him and Stacey? It was originally him and Stacey was the argument, and I was always a Trey Mason girl. Like I was like, I like watching. I loved them
both because I was like, Zach Stacy's your bowling ball, and then Trey Mason shifty, where he's just gonna house one for 70 yards or whatever. And I thought the Raiders game really encapsulated that. But, the thing that was really surprising about this game in particular, Alexis, was the lack of turnovers. I had Trevor Lawrence throwing 3 picks. I could not have been more wrong. I thought Lawrence, I am not high on him at all. It is not a secret. I think he was overrated from the get-go, and if I was a Jacksonville fan, I'd be hoping they trade him. That said, I thought Lawrence in the I don't know how cold it was, but in the pouring rain against this Rams defense that had 7 sacks and pressured him 34 times, I thought he took care of the ball pretty well. I do. I mean, there were times he had could have been an interception here and there, but I thought he did a decent job of taking care of the football, held on to the football. I mean, I don't know how that happened, but the only fumble in this game was a Hunter Long fumble that happened out of bounds, like almost immediately, like blink and you'll miss it type of fumble. That was it, Alexis. No running backs dropped the ball. None of that. There were drops. There were absolutely drops, but yeah, pretty nuts when you think about it. So,
well, yeah, in that weather especially, it was like kind of feels like it would have been a no-brainer for some fumbles or whatever. And yeah, no, I was surprised too, especially because, when we were previewing this game and Trevor Lawrence, and I'm not that high on Trevor Lawrence either. I've had a roller coaster with Trevor Lawrence. I wasn't high on him during the draft, as you know, because you weren't either. I thought he was really overrated. Then I thought he was kind of bad, and then he kind of earned my respect. I thought he was getting better. Now I'm kind of like, I think he panics too much. And when we were previewing this game, something that we talked about is like, we felt the key was to put the pressure on Trevor Lawrence because he absolutely will throw incompletions, throw interceptions, right? He would get rattled. And he did those things. He just didn't throw the interceptions. But you know what? Something weird has to happen in these London games, right? We talked about it. There always has to be something that doesn't make sense. This one, lack of turnovers in the rain. We'll call it that. If that's the most surprising thing that happened,
35-7 is surprising.
Me. Like 35-7 is surprising, but like I also, want to give like I don't want to use that as like to people who don't like the Rams. They're like, oh, well, I'm not in theory surprised.
Well,
they could have scored more.
What was the most surprising part of it? 35-7. If you told me the Rams beat the Jaguars 35-7 before the game started, they're going to win 35-7. Colby Parkinson is going to be their leading receiver with 47 yards. Yeah. Matthew Stafford is going to throw 182 yards. Kyron Williams is going to run for 54 yards. And Trevor Lawrence isn't going to turn the ball over. I'd be like, how the hell do they find that many points? How do they win? No turnovers? How does that happen? Because typically speaking, a 35-7 game, normally like the script, if you will, to winning a game like that is a blocked punt, kick, interception, like pick six, kickoff return. There was none of that. So this
Yeah.
is one of those wins where they really had to just dominate, and they did. And so I'm just, it's funny. People were still being like, I don't know about this team. They're not a Super Bowl team. They're this. They don't trust Josh Carty. I mean, we'll get into that, I'm sure, but I don't know how you could come away from this game and not feel excited about the Rams, because
Yeah.
like I feel like you're falling into the trap if you're like, oh, well, maybe the Jaguars aren't that good. Like that's some BS. The Jaguars are a good football team. They are. And yes, they had injuries. Okay. I get it. They didn't have Devin Lloyd. They didn't have Brenton Strange. Okay. Those are injuries. But Robert Hainsey was back, and it didn't matter because there's a guy that a lot of people just continue to act like he's playing like garbage, when in reality he's been very good, and that's Braden Fisk. He had 8 pressures in this game.
Yeah.
The Rams offensive line gave up 11. Braden Fisk had 8 just himself. Pretty crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are all really good points, and the Rams defense certainly deserves credit. I mean, this defense really played well. And, when we talk about kind of like we touched on earlier about how there's things that the Rams could have done better, even in this 35-7 win, right? They could have when they started the second half, they missed a lot of opportunities offensively, and that was disheartening. And listen, I am not somebody, if my team is up 21 nothing, and if they go out on the football field and they start playing horribly, I'm going to point it out. I think that's a very reasonable thing, especially for a team like the Rams who have blown massive leads this season, right? You have a team that comes out who has already on a couple occasions blown a lead. You are going to be hesitant to be satisfied being up 21 nothing and then realizing that your offense is struggling to score. Because the third quarter of that game, I felt for a period of time we were a bit lucky that Jacksonville was kind of beating themselves. Jacksonville, by the way, you want to talk about penalties. What an egregious showing from Jacksonville, mentally. They were absolutely not making it easier on themselves at all. And I don't think that that's the reason they lost, but it certainly, they didn't help themselves when they were committing that many errors. So I think it's really reasonable to say that if the Jacksonville Jaguars had been playing remotely competent football for part of the third quarter, this game could have been a lot closer. So I think it is fair to say, the Rams still had some things they needed to clean up offensively, and they're lucky that the Jaguars made some mistakes in the third quarter, and I think the Rams kind of circled back towards the end and kind of fixed that. But I just wanted to point that out because this was by all means not a perfect football game from the Rams. And you think what they could do if they played a perfect football game and they had Puka Nacua come back. It could have been crazy, right? It could have just been an absolute bloodbath. So, obviously a 35-7 win is great, but I would like to see some more consistency in the red zone and maybe not this like complacency that I think we started to kind of see after, the 21-0 lead. It felt like the Rams kind of went out there and they were already playing super conservative. It was like before the end of the first half, McVay got really conservative again. He didn't want to score, and he had plenty of time on the clock. And listen, I understand that you're up, but I think that it was very fair for a lot of people to say, hey, hold on. We've been here before. We've seen this story before. We play conservative before the half because we have the lead, and then we come out in the second half super flat-footed, and then we blow it. So there's just a couple of things that, I felt could have gone differently. But at the end of the day, it's hard to be that pressed about it 35-7, and those are things that they'll still look at in the bye week and take advantage of. But Jake, I just was really proud of the offense for stepping up. I think that there's a lot of unfairness towards them, and I think that as we close out talking about the offense, we should talk about Matthew Stafford, because Matthew Stafford, in my opinion, is playing at an MVP level. I think he's certainly worthy of being in the conversation right now. Listen, season, I know that we're 5-2 right now. The season didn't start like out great at times. You know, we've talked about the red zone struggles. We've talked about things offensively stalling. We've talked about, really there only being for the first 4 or 5 games of the season, it felt like only 3 playmakers in offense aside from Stafford, right? Like there wasn't anything else being created, and how much of that obviously was play calling, we don't know. But I think that at the end of the day, like Stafford deserves a lot more credit than he's getting from the media, a lot more credit than he's getting from football fans, from some Rams fans. I think it's very fair to say that he's in the MVP conversation. And Jake, I know you agree with me, so I'll throw it to you, but I just think it's good to point out.
Oh, I mean, he should be the favorite to win the MVP. I think you look at him, he leads the league in touchdowns. He has the most big time throws. He's fourth in completions, third in yards, seventh in drops, by the way, which is wild. Second in average depth of target, fourth in passer rating. I mean, when you look at what he brings to the table, this is somebody who has been pressured 91 times this year. See, all of the guys, most of the guys, pretty much all the guys in the MVP conversation have not been pressured at that level. And so that's kind of what I get at, where it's like, yeah, I understand, so-and-so looks great, and so-and-so, whoever that is, right? Whether that's Dak Prescott or it's, Drake May. Because, by the way, Dak Prescott absolutely belongs there. But we have to be honest with ourselves right now. When you look at Matthew Stafford, and by the way, to be fair, Dak Prescott is being pressured a ton too. They both are tied with 91 pressures. Drake May is actually being pressured a lot, 90. Baker Mayfield, 86. Patrick Mahomes, 85. The fewest pressures in the league for a quarterback right now is Aaron Rodgers at 50, CJ Stroud's 58, and Mac Jones is 62. Now that's not a lot. That's not a lot, but he's also only played 4 games. Or 5 games. So that's the thing right now. Like you look at Jared Goff with the Lions, and people are like, he should be an MVP. My tiebreaker would be Jared Goff has been pressured 69 times before this game being played. Okay, Matthew Stafford he's been pressured the 8th most in the league. He also has only allowed on his own, because PFF has a metric who's responsible for what pressures. Matthew Stafford is responsible for 5.2% of his pressures, which is 3rd among all qualified quarterbacks. What we've seen from him is that when he's kept clean in the pocket, he's amazing. When he's not kept clean in the pocket, he's still amazing. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Under pressure, Stafford is tied for 2nd with 5 touchdowns on the year. He has almost 600 yards, 2nd in the league. He's tied for the most big-time throws in the league with 9. His average depth of target is 13.1 yards, which is the most. And he's 3rd in passer rating with 95.8. I mean, play action, he's decimating teams. He has the most touchdowns in the league. He has the most big-time throws in the league. He's 2nd in yards. He's completing passes at a 73.1% clip. And it's really, as long as you don't get Stafford in the screen game, he's going to dominate. Like, that's the only thing that I've come across. His screen game numbers aren't great. Truthfully, I don't feel like, and we've talked about that before, that's not his bread and butter. I mean, he can do it, but a lot of those issues that like Kyron had in the passing game that were blamed on Kyron, I think, were just Stafford doesn't throw the best ball, in that close proximity. But in the short game, you look at the 0 for 9, not behind the line of scrimmage, but we're talking up to 9 yards, the short passing attack. He's got 10 touchdowns. It's the most in the NFL. He's 3rd in first downs. He has the best passer rating at 116.5. Then he's got a passer rating in the intermediate portion of the field at a 3rd in the league, 100.5. And then he's 4th in passer rating, 20-plus yards down the field, at a 4th in the league at 130.6. But really what I'm getting at is they're 5-2. He's gone up against 3 top 10 scoring defenses in the Colts, right? The 49ers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? Or excuse me, Houston, not Jacksonville. Houston. Houston's number 1 in the league. The 49ers are 7, and Indy is number 8. He's also had to play in London. He's had to play in Baltimore, right? He's had to go on the road and play in Philly. So he's already had to go across the country quite a few times now. And it's only week 7, or now going into week 8. Matthew Stafford and what he's been able to do when the offensive line hasn't been healthy all year. Your left tackle barely had any opportunities in the offseason because he was dealing with blood clots. Steve Avila started 2 games, by the way, in like over 100 reps or what have you. He hasn't given up. He's given up 1 pressure. But that's great, but he's only started 2 games. Your center is the only one who has not missed any time whatsoever. Your right guard has been dealing with issues. And then your right tackle, you were dealing with 2 different guys there. So it's not like things have been smooth sailing for Stafford, but people will look and say, well, he's got Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. He's got Kyron Williams. He's got Sean McVay. And it's like, so for me, I think Stafford's the MVP in the league. And I think you look at the way he's able to throw off platform, and he throws better off platform than more than half of the quarterbacks in the league throw when they're fully set and able to step into the throw. He's just different. Absolutely different.
He is, and I'm excited to see, the rest of the season as, we have this kind of newfound discovery of these amazing weapons for him, right? And seeing, what this Rams offense can do going forward. And if they can just become more consistent in the red zone, I mean, that's scary to think of what the Rams could be if they can start putting up consistent numbers in the red zone. It's going to be crazy, crazy. But Jake, I think just overall, what a fun Sunday. I mean, what like an awesome, it's early, right? We talk about, waking up early, and people on the West Coast especially had to wake up early. And, I was on my couch. I woke up like 20 minutes before the game. Because I was out late Saturday. So then, we wake up early Sunday. I had my coffee while I was watching the game. It was like a rainy day in Chicago. So I was bundled up, having my coffee, watching the Rams dominate. It was perfect. It was a great morning. I couldn't ask for a better morning. And it could have gone very differently had the Rams played the opposite of how they did. If they didn't show up in London and things got out of hand, my perfect picturesque, aesthetically pleasing morning would have just gone right downhill. So I thank you. I thank you, Rams, for giving me a really good Sunday morning and giving us all like a fun London experience, because it is always fun when it's a primetime game. And, you've got everybody tuning in to watch your team. So, that's just how happy we were, as viewers. I can't imagine the feeling within the organization to be able to go and put on that display overseas, with the crazy travel that they had and all that. I mean, just great. And now they get some rest, Jake. Now they get some rest going into the bye, and they can reset, which I'm sure is much needed.
Yeah, I mean, did you hear Matthew Stafford? All right, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I saw some people like, hey, you shouldn't have said that. Like, it's London. Like, it just looks bad. I'm like, I don't take it like that. I don't think
it
had
had nothing to
any
do with
issue
London.
Yeah, they don't have any issue with London. They're just like, you have to understand, these guys haven't been home. They stayed in Baltimore. So, like, there you go. I mean, maybe they met up with family in London, but that was only a hot minute. It's like, you got to be honest with yourselves. I mean, they didn't really have a lot of time to themselves. This is all business, and it really was nonstop. Whereas when you play a home game, now on the West Coast, you get to sleep in your own bed and see your kids and see your wife or, your husband or what have you. Like, and that's literally the whole organization too. It's not just the players, it's the coaches, right? It's the staffers. We're talking about the equipment staff. I mean, it was just a long trek. Everybody kind of had to stay in Baltimore, and that's not easy. Yeah.
Well, they did it, guys. They went to London, they got the win, and it was great to watch. And we appreciate everybody talking about it with us. And Jake, I think we've got some supers that we can get to now.
Yeah, no, definitely. So let's check out Matthews here. Thank you for the 5.
Thank you,
With
Matthew.
DA and Ferguson, we should be able to score in the red zone. When a team has less yards and high scores, it is efficient, made every yard count. So this is thank you, Matthew. This is the beautiful thing about this game and the way I see it is that Kyron Williams didn't have one rushing touchdown. Okay. And I think he only had like one carry in the red zone, maybe two.
Mm-hmm.
This is good because we already know they have him when they need him. He's been so efficient in the red area, and he's been a big reason why the Rams have been able to score. So if they're able to start scoring via the air, well, now it's going to make it even easier for Kyron Williams on the ground and vice versa. So it really just keeps defenses off balance. It makes the play action in the red zone work well. How many times do you see, for whatever reason, on a Sunday, you're watching red zone or you're watching the games in a quad box, whatever, and you see that one touchdown where it's like the tight end or the wide receiver is just wide open in the end zone, and he's just sitting there like this. The Rams don't seem to have a lot of those opportunities. This is how you start getting those opportunities because you have to zig when other teams zag. And so this is the first step in doing that. When you can prove that you can play at that level when you get into the red area, good things are going to happen. So I think it's a really good sign because they didn't have to lean on Kyron in this game and they still won 35-7. That's wild in and of itself. Courtney, thank you for the 5. How do you feel about the offensive line? And D. Will has been playing like the old D. Will. Do you think the Rams still look for another corner?
Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you, Courtney. Yeah, the offensive line. Alexis, what are your thoughts? Because I think they look pretty good. My thing is they're not going to be what he had in the Super Bowl season. They're just not. Alec Jackson's kind of struggling, but it's not like catastrophic. Like he's given up a lot of pressures. He got worked by, Josh Hines Allen, but Warren McClendon Jr. looks really good. All things considered, I think right now I would say Avila is the best on the offensive line currently in pass pro, but what say you on that? And then we'll talk about D-Will after.
I agree about the offensive line. I think they're okay. They're doing better than I guess average. Like if you're looking at like a scale of opinion, but I have there were a couple times this game, particularly in the run game, where they kind of folded right away. I think the thing with this offensive line that I've noticed is the consistency is probably the problem more so than the actual talent. I don't know if it's a chemistry thing, but there are times, particularly in the run game, where I feel like they just collapse, right? Or you see a couple plays where Stafford doesn't have any time. At all, hardly, and the offensive line just collapses. And I think, you bring up Jackson, that's a fair point. I think it's like one of those situations where it's not probably the offensive line that you feel is solid and you're like, this is like rock solid, right? But you can win with them, as we're seeing. And it also could just be a chemistry thing, getting players now playing all together, right? For multiple games, it could be that type of thing. I don't know. I haven't really felt too strongly about it. I thought McClendon looked really good, from what I saw. And I don't know if that's like a great answer. I guess my answer is the same as Jake's, really. It's just they're doing okay. All right.
Yeah, and then D-Will looks great. I want to give him his praise.
Great game.
He needed to step up because there wasn't really anybody stepping up after Akello. And I think the biggest issue that we've had is it's not necessarily that these guys can't play. I stood here and said, I believe that this cornerback room is really good. And people are like, why? My biggest thing is this. It's that they don't have a guy to match up on an A.J. Brown caliber, wide receiver. I'm not just talking about his skill set, but more so the body type. It's hard when you're 5'9", 5'10", scrappy, having to go up against like a Mike Evans, right? And so if you don't have a guy that can cover like Akello, right? Now you're at a disadvantage. And so Darius Williams has a 67.8 targeted passer rating this year. He's given up 40.9% of receptions on targets. He's been targeted 22 times. He's given up 9 receptions for 87 yards. He's had 5 pass breakups. Kobe Durant has a 66.9 targeted passer rating. He's given up 56.3, 32 targets, 18 given up. And Emmanuel Forbes, who I think got off to a rocky start this year, he's done a much better job, I think, the last 2 games. 18 targets. He's given up 14 receptions for 202 yards, and he has 153 targeted pass rating, which is horrendous. But I think lately, he's played much better. Now, the question was, Rams still look for another corner. I don't think they're necessarily going after any position, entirely. I think the Rams are looking at this team knowing that this team should win the Super Bowl if things go according to plan. And if somebody just becomes available, I mean, they've done stuff in the past. They trade away a starting, linebacker in the past. They traded away Kenny Young. Like, he was starting, and they traded him away at the beginning of their Super Bowl season. I wouldn't be surprised what they did. I'm not even against them standing pat. I will say, and I think you'll follow me on this because maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not sold on the first the first round draft picks. I'm not sold on them going to a quarterback. So
yeah.
If you could get somebody who has some years of control and who's young and can be a franchise piece, and you give up a first round pick, and you feel like they can help you win a Super Bowl now, but they can help you down the road as well, I think I would be for the F them picks again. I really do. Before I was like, no, hands off. Like, I'm definitely, but that's kind of where I'm at. But what about you?
In terms of like what I think they're gonna do for the first round, or what I want them to do.
What you think?
I am under the firm belief that they entirely were focused on Manning. I'm willing to bet my legacy on that for things that, that is, you and I know. They were 1,000% in on Arch Manning. That I don't think is the case anymore. So I think that the Rams themselves are now entirely unsure what they're going to do going into 2026. I think they obviously have leverage now with that Falcons pick. I'm going to guess that it depends on, I'll say this. If the Rams don't win the Super Bowl this season, I'm not convinced Matthew Stafford retires. If the Rams win the Super Bowl this season, I would probably hedge my bet on probably. And I could be, and nobody knows, right? But I think that that's going to depend on, the first round pick, because if they get a Super Bowl, it's going to entirely change everything. I don't necessarily know, I guess there's a situation, and maybe this is something that's not thought of yet. There's a situation where maybe the Rams do win the Super Bowl this year. Stafford stays, and they try to do it right. They try to do like the back-to-back thing, obviously, that, they've been wanting to do. There's a thought there, and then the question becomes, do you still draft the quarterback? I think I've been let down by this quarterback class for 2026. I think my expectations probably were too high. So I think the Rams are probably not focused on a quarterback anymore for 2026. I think they very much were. And I think now probably not, but I think it depends on what Stafford does.
That's definitely interesting. The Arch Manning thing makes sense. So we have a little bit of a different view. I don't think Stafford retires after this year, no matter what. And I think there's a chance that Stafford could be around a lot longer than we thought. Now, I think it's always been kind of assumed it's a 2-year thing. But I mean, you look at Stafford and he's in pretty good shape. And I mean, today, I truly believe as of October 20th, 2025, he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I believe that. Just every throw I see, I feel like he's better than Josh Allen. Is Josh Allen more talented? Absolutely. Is Patrick Mahomes more talented? Yes. They're more gifted. I think that's a better way to put it. But I would take Matthew Stafford over every single quarterback in the NFL. There's not one quarterback I'd take over him right now. Why would I take them? Like, this guy already knows what it means to win. And then, you have him playing the way he's playing. And it's like, why would you take anybody else? So that's kind of like where I'm at. And I just feel like what was probably 2 years, I could see it being extended to 3 potentially. I mean, there's no way Matthew Stafford, there's no way he wants to leave the Rams. The Rams aren't going to lowball him after this season. If he keeps this up, they're not going to lowball him. And he's going to be a Ram for life. I feel like the big indicator is what they do with these picks. Like, if they were to draft a quarterback, I'd be like, okay, they're definitely getting ready for Stafford to leave after 2 years. But I mean, there's no reason why he can't do what like Aaron Rodgers is doing right now. There's no reason, So
yeah,
he's been around a long time, but he's 37. Aaron Rodgers is 42. So I think Stafford can play.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is rushing to see who is the future post Stafford. I'm just going to enjoy the here and now. But I will say that I think, as somebody that was like, yeah, I'd love to have a quarterback sit behind him and all of that, I'm starting to feel like that's useless. If you feel like you have a Super Bowl team, which I do believe they have, and you have a really good defense that you don't have to pay currently, you will soon. Why not strike while the iron's hot, try to win as many as you can with Stafford in this defense, and then figure it out after? And that's kind of where I see it. So we'll see, but this is a great question, Courtney. We appreciate it. Deuce Falco, Thank you for the 10. Enjoy the bye, everyone. Great win by Rams. We weren't embarrassed on international TV.
So true. Good point. Thank you, Deuce.
Thank you,
for
Deuce.
the super. And yeah, it is always nice to not be embarrassed in prime time, because Lord knows we've been there as Rams fans.
I'll never forget.
Lord knows we've been there.
I'll never forget. We were recording. This is back when not only Downtown Rams wasn't a live stream, it wasn't even video. It was just audio. And we were recording a podcast in the third quarter after the Ravens took a, 35-6 lead over the Rams at the Coliseum in 2019. And we're just like, yeah, this one's over.
We're just going to start recording. That's what we did. We just started recording because it was that bad. I mean, I just think of even in recent,
I think it was.
Even in like recent memory. I mean, just prime time even has just been hit or miss with the Rams. So you know what? I'll take it. I'll take the win over in London. It was nice. Gonna enjoy it going into the bye. And Jake, I think that's gonna do it for us.
Well, Cheeky Metro wants to throw
a
$10 super chat. We appreciate you, Cheeky Metro. Lawrence needs a fresh start like Baker and Jones. My issue with this, and I understand what you're saying, I don't think he makes good decisions. Like, I don't necessarily think this is, a thing where you get him under the right guy. I mean, I really don't think he's a good decision maker. He's got plenty of weapons. The offensive line has started to really struggle, but what about when the offensive line didn't struggle? I don't know. I think you look at him, and we talked about it in J Live the other day. He's Mark Brunell. Mark Brunell was a good player, but he, how good should a quarterback be if you intend on winning the Super Bowl? See, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is good enough to win a Super Bowl with. Is Daniel Jones good enough? I mean, some people might say no because they're just used to Daniel Jones being the guy that like you meme about and was overdrafted by the Giants and was left for dead. But Daniel Jones has some of the best numbers against the blitz in the league. I mean, he's playing very well in Indy, and they have a potential MVP candidate in Jonathan Taylor. He's back to turn back the
Yeah.
clock to 2021. You got a good offensive line. You got, Tyler Warren. You got Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, a good defense. Like, he's good enough where he makes good decisions. He's careful with the football. Like, and then Baker Mayfield is kind of the same thing where, I know right now Tampa's struggling, but you look at that team and they're really banged up, but Baker's kept them afloat. Is Trevor Lawrence that guy? Like, can he see? I think they're different players. I think Daniel Jones is somebody that you want him to be a part of something. And Baker's somebody you want to kind of lift you up above water and help you breathe. Whereas Trevor Lawrence is kind of a guy where it's like he needs stuff around him, and yet he still struggles. And I feel like people look at the stat sheet and they see 296 yards in this game and a touchdown, no interceptions. And while I give him credit for not turning the ball over, he was 23 of 48. He wasn't good. It's a reminder that the yards are kind of overblown. I thought Travis Hunter looked great. Happy for him. But I think when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, I just think he's like Jared Goff, but he's nowhere near the decision maker. He can make those wow throws. That's like, oh my God. Okay, that's why he was, yeah. But then the next throw, he's a damn roller coaster. And that position at quarterback is just way too important to have a roller coaster at quarterback. I just don't. That's why, like, when people are like, oh, I hope Trevor Lawrence replaces Matthew Stafford. Please, God, no. That's what I would say. I don't know where you are on that, Alexis, but I would rather I'd rather do the Stafford again, go out and get Dak. If Stafford retired, I would rather do this all again with a veteran, go out and get Dak Prescott, who's balling out in Dallas, over going out and getting a disgruntled Trevor Lawrence, who I don't believe will ever be anything more than just good.
I agree with you. I just think I wanted to give Trevor Lawrence kind of a fair chance when he, entered the league. I think I was a little bit, I wasn't as high on him as everybody else. I don't think I ever saw what everybody else saw, and I think that you kind of were on the same page with me. And I think he certainly had his moments, but I don't know if I think it's a fresh start situation like it was with Baker, Danny Dimes. Again, it very well could be, but I think it is more about his play style and the decision making, as you touched on. Because the team that he's on right now, and I think is pretty solid, and I think that he has tools around him. I will say, this is just a sidebar. I was a little disappointed, not like disappointed because he was playing our team, but Brian Thomas Jr. is so fascinating to me as a player, because he's another hot and cold type of player where it's like you start to believe in him. It's kind of like the same thing with Trevor Lawrence. It's like you start to believe in Brian Thomas Jr. and then he does what he did against the Rams in like a random game where he like can't catch the ball. And maybe it's fixed though. Maybe it's like the Quentin Johnston thing. Where Quentin Johnson like couldn't hang on to the ball for a season or two and then finally figured it out. And because like I want to believe in Brian Thomas Jr., but like he, again, it's the same thing with like him and Trevor are just too hot and cold for me to really fully buy into. But that's a sidebar. That's a sidebar.
I feel bad saying that. I do like Brian Thomas Jr., but he's like made out of glass, man. Like,
yeah,
I think he was hurt the entire game. Every time he got up, he's like, and then like that one play in particular where he barely got jammed by Kobe Durant and he thought like his arm was going to fall off. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, come on. So, yeah, obviously I felt bad. Like, I wasn't happy he got hurt. It was just more so like, this is a little ridiculous. So that's just kind of where I'm at on him. Like, he needs to stay healthy. And like, it's just, it's not great over there for him. Travis Hunter is going to take over that wide receiver room anyway. And he's also really good at corner. He had a great coverage rep against Devontae Adams, was right on the hip pocket, made a really nice play. Anyone that said that was a bad move to trade up and get him, I don't know what you're talking about. I think this guy can be the Ohtani of the NFL. He's fun to watch. He emanates this like star power when you watch him. You're like, yeah, that guy. So I was happy for him. Genuinely happy. I knew the Rams had the game in the bag, and I just like the guy. You know, I really do, because I like Shadur Sanders, but I felt like it was a little unfair. We're talking about this potentially generational talent. We hear this term all the time. Travis Hunter is a generational talent. He can play both sides. I think he's like the first one legitimately. I'm not talking about Mike Furry or anything like that, but I'm talking legitimately like the first legitimate potential star on both sides since Champ Bailey. So I feel like for whatever reason, he was drafted really high, but at Colorado, all we were talking about was Shadur Sanders and like where's Shadur Sanders going to go. And we're talking about him like now that he's on the bench. And like I said, I like the guy. I don't have any issue with him. But I feel like Travis Hunter is probably the most slept on top 3 pick I think I've ever seen with the talent he has. So it was good to see that. I genuinely enjoyed it. He had 14 targets in this game. You know, keep it going, Jacksonville.
Career touchdown.
Yeah.
First career touchdown. You know, obviously bittersweet that it was against the Rams, but you know, I think that Travis Hunter is going to be scoring plenty more in his career against many other different teams. So good for him.
I agree.
And the Rams won, so we can at least have that memory. Even though he got Jacksonville's 7 points, the Rams got 35.
Yeah. Edwin, thank you for the 5. How are you guys spending your bye week? I'm going to be watching my Dodgers win back-to-back World Series, and the Lakers season is starting to go LA. Well, we appreciate you, Edwin. Yeah.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, the Dodgers are likely going to win back-to-back World Series. I don't remember the last time it's happened, but it's been a while. And then yeah, the Lakers, their season's starting. LeBron James, I don't know, just doesn't feel like playing until like December. No idea what's going on there. But yeah. How are we spending our bye week, Alexis? I mean,
not doing a damn thing.
I'm going to be making content. That's about it.
I'm taking a weekend off. I've had very, very crazy weekends pretty consistently for the past few months. So I'm going to enjoy it. Might try to get together with some friends.
Nice.
On Saturday, but you know, pretty much it. Saturday Night Live, I watch every Saturday night. So, you know, I've got that locked in. But yeah, as for Sunday, I mean, I'll watch the games that are on. You know, I'll tune into whatever's playing. But yeah, pretty boring, I guess.
So I have a wedding to go to on Sunday, so I won't even be able to watch the games. What else am I doing? I mean, I'll be making content. I have my what did I learn from this game, like film review with all my notes. Gonna make a Matthew Stafford MVP propaganda video because it just needs to happen. Gonna probably make some content. Yankees Unloaded. Downtown Lakers on Friday. What else? Oh, and I'll play the new Pokemon game that just came out. So, yep. That is pretty much it for me. And I'll be going to the gym. But you asked for how I was going to spend my bye week, not like my, whole schedule. So, appreciate you, Edwin. And last year, Cheeky Metro. Come on, Jake. Don't respect Ohtani like that.
Disrespect.
So, I see this a lot. A lot. And I don't feel like it's disrespectful because Travis Hunter is a freaking alien. He's so talented. I really don't feel like that's disrespectful to Ohtani. I think that's giving him credit. So I don't mean it as disrespect at all. Ohtani is insane. But I mean, I think it's important for us to realize Travis Hunter on Sunday against the Rams, okay, had over 100 yards receiving. It's his first 100-yard receiving game. He had his first touchdown. That's great. But Travis Hunter going into this game had 139 coverage snaps. Okay. He only played 10 in this one. He's had 149 coverage snaps this year. Travis Hunter has. And Travis Hunter is on pace for over 700 receiving yards. That's going to go up. So he could have 1,000-yard receiving season and play 500 to 600 coverage snaps on defense. And I mean, he's got a below 80 targeted passer rating. That would be insane in 2025 to have a season like that. So I'm just giving credit where credit's due. That's all. And then we got one more. DTR rocks. Thank you, Lil Smokes.
Thank you. I agree.
Appreciate that. Hell
Appreciate that. Hell yeah.
So do you have anything you want to throw in there or?
I mean, I just, well, Jake, actually, before I give my thoughts, I think you have a thought that you should have mentioned earlier.
Definitely. Without Alexis, of course. No, I'm kidding. I don't know why it does that, but it does.
It cuts the screen. Listen.
Yeah.
We fixed it.
It just be like that sometimes. Use my code JKB. Get 100% match up to $100 on daily fantasy over at Sleeper. The link is in the description below. If you haven't already, be sure to check them out. And for a limited time, they have a $20 free entry where you don't even need to put in a deposit to get involved in. So this bye week, no Rams football. How are you going to be able to deal with it? You're looking for a rooting interest, some skin in the game. Be sure to check out Sleeper. Get your $20 entry and have some fun over on the app. Again, link is in the description below. Use Sleeper code JKB at sign up.
And with that, yeah, I don't have anything to say. There's nothing to like promote because we're going in the bye week. I'll still be on Twitter talking to everybody, and like I said, I'll be watching all the other games. I'll be working on some film stuff and improv stuff and all that jazz, probably more intensely because we've got the bye week. But guys, I hope everyone like takes a nice little mental health break, just do something nice for yourself this bye week. Treat yourself, detox, take a deep breath. You can watch football on Sunday without having any stake in the game, unless you bet, which I know a lot of people do, including myself. But, just emotional stake. You won't have any emotional stake in the outcome on Sunday. So I hope that everybody has just a very nice bye week. And Jake, I think that's going to do it.
That's going to do it.
We'll have a week off as well. We'll be back to preview our the next game a week from Friday. Per usual. But guys, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alexis Craft. You can follow Jake at JK Bogan. And guys, we'll be back soon. But until then, as always, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.